My beloved, lean in close, for this is no ordinary day. August 16th is not just a page in the calendar, it is a door, a divine threshold. And at this door stands a gentle, holy woman, a mother clothed in heaven's light, with hands so tender yet strong enough to untangle the hardest knots of life. She is Our Lady, undoer of knots, the one God sends when our lives are tangled in confusion, when our paths are bound by the ropes of pain, when our hearts have been knotted by fear, disappointment, and despair. Some of you woke up this morning with a heaviness in your chest. You've been pulling at the strings of your life trying to make things work, but the more you pull, the tighter the knot becomes. Bills are piling up, relationships are falling apart, health is failing, dreams are slipping, and you have prayed and prayed, but the knot remains. Oh child, hear me today. When your fingers grow weary from trying, you must place the knot in the hands of the one who has never failed to untie what the enemy has tangled. I remember my own season of knots. When I thought I had come to the end of my road, I was surrounded by impossibilities, chained by my own mistakes and the cruelty of others. And then I heard the quiet whisper of the Holy Spirit. Bring it to her. Bring it to the mother who loves you. She will not let you be lost. And I did. I brought my shame, my fear, my brokenness, and I placed it into her hands. My child, let me tell you, what took me years to tangle, she undid in moments. Not because I was worthy, but because she is faithful to the will of God. Now today I will lead you in the prayer. But this is no empty recitation. No, we do not speak to the heavens as if we are tossing coins into a fountain. We speak with the authority of a child who knows their father's love, and the humility of one who knows they are being heard. Breathe deep. Still your racing mind. Let your heart speak. Prayer to Our Lady, undoer of knots, for August 16th. Asterisk, Blessed Mother Mary, Our Lady, undoer of knots, I come before you on this appointed day, with knots too heavy for my hands, knots of fear, of doubt, of worry, knots in my family, in my health, in my finances. I surrender each one into your gentle, holy hand. Untie them, Mother, with the same grace that you carried in your womb the Savior of the world. Undo the knot of my unbelief, so that my faith may rise like morning sun. Undo the knot of my lack, so that I may walk in the abundance of my God. Undo the knot of my pain, so that joy may flow like living water. Blessed Mother, stand with me before the throne of God. Intercede for me as you have for countless souls. And let this be the day my miracle comes. In the name of Jesus, I claim freedom, healing, and victory. Amer ein punct asterisk. My beloved, there comes a time in the rhythm of our lives when the sun rises on a day unlike any other. It may look like any ordinary morning to the hurried eyes of the world, but to the heart that is awake to the whisperings of heaven, it is a day appointed. August 16th is such a day. It is not an accident on the calendar, not just another square marked by numbers. No, this day has been kissed by God's breath and touched by the prayers of the saints. It holds in its folds the quiet promise of deliverance for those who are weary, the soft hum of healing for those who are hurting, and the loud thundering echo of freedom for those bound by invisible chains. There are seasons in our lives when the sky above us seems unbroken, yet within our souls storms rage without ceasing. We smile for the world, but in the chambers of our hearts there is a heaviness we dare not name aloud. Knots, some tight from years of strain, some freshly tied by yesterday's heartbreak, pull and twist at our peace. We find ourselves trying to loosen them with trembling fingers, pulling at threads of understanding, tugging at strands of willpower. But the more we struggle, the tighter they become. And then frustration sets in. Despair makes its home in the corners of our minds. We begin to believe the lie that the knot will always remain, that the rope of our lives will always be tangled. But child, hear me when I say every knot has a key, every tangle has a loosening, every prison has a door. And sometimes the key is not in our own hands. Sometimes the one who holds it is not merely a helper but a mother, gentle, patient, and strong beyond measure. August 16th is the day heaven invites you to place your knots, your tangled mess, into the care of Our Lady, undoer of knots. She does not rush, she does not pull in frustration. She looks at each thread of your pain, each loop of your doubt, and with the tenderness of one who loves you beyond understanding, she begins to untie what you thought could never be undone. I can see her in the spirit even now, clothed in light that does not come from the sun, her hands steady, her eyes filled with knowing. Around her are the cries of her children, each carrying their own knots. The woman weeping for her prodigal son, the man whose business is collapsing, the mother whose marriage is fraying thread by thread, the young soul battling an illness that has no name. She gathers them all, not turning away a single plea. And when she begins her work, the impossible becomes possible in the quietest, most miraculous ways. August 16th stands as a bridge between what was and what can be. For some, it will be the day the papers arrive declaring victory in a battle long fought. For others, it will be the phone call that brings reconciliation. For you, perhaps, it will be the morning when the fear that gripped your heart simply lets go. But the miracles of this day are not for the one who watches with crossed arms and skeptical eyes. They are for the one who dares to believe that God's timing is perfect, and that He often sends His blessings through the hands of those who walk closest to Him. This is the invitation of August 16th, to step away from the noise of your own striving and place your trust in divine hands. To believe that the same God who entrusted His Son to this woman also entrusted her with the care of your life. There is no knot too stubborn, no rope too twisted, no problem too hopeless for the one heaven calls full of grace. I think of all the days I thought were ordinary, and how when I look back I could see the fingerprints of heaven pressed into their hours. I remember days when I was certain the rope would snap under the weight of my troubles, but then, light. A call from a friend, an open door I hadn't even knocked on, a peace that washed over me without reason. That is the nature of God's work. It is gentle and yet unstoppable. And often it begins when we finally surrender the rope instead of pulling harder. Today the surrender is not one of defeat. It is the surrender of a child climbing into a mother's arms, letting her fix what small hands cannot. You are not giving up, you are giving over. You are saying, "Here, take this." My eyes are tired from looking for answers. My fingers are sore from tugging at this knot. My heart is heavy from carrying it alone. Here, Mother, you take it, and she will. She always does. For her joy is in seeing her children walk free. Her purpose is to lead them closer to her Son, and her mission is to undo every knot that keeps you from the fullness of God's plan. Some will hear of this day and let it pass like water over stone, untouched, unchanged. But you are wiser than that. You know that appointed moments come like rare jewels, and to ignore them is to walk past treasure lying in the street. So you will pause. You will pray. You will lift your heart, your fears, your tangled rope toward heaven, and you will believe that before this day has closed its eyes, something will shift, something will loosen. Something will break open and light will pour through. Let the world rush on with its noise and its hurry. You take the quiet road today. Take the road where prayer is the language and faith is the currency. Whisper her name, Our Lady, undoer of knots, and feel the tension in your soul begin to ease. It is not your job to figure out how she will untie it. Your job is to place it in her hands and trust that she will. And when the rope falls free and you hold it in your hands, smooth and untangled, you will not forget this day. You will tell the story to those who are bound, and they will find hope in your words. You will speak of August 16th not as a date in the past, but as the day heaven came close, the day a holy woman worked quietly in your favor, the day you learned that even the most stubborn knots are no match for love. My dear one, life has a way of tying us up in ways we never planned. We begin our journey with clear paths, open skies, and the light of hope in our eyes. But as the years roll on, the road twists. There are unexpected turns, sudden storms, and moments when the very ground beneath us gives way. Slowly, quietly, the knots begin to form. Not all at once, no, they come thread by thread. One knot in your health, another in your finances, a knot in your marriage, a knot in your faith. Some are small, others so large they feel like boulders in your chest. And the tragedy is, most of the time we don't notice how tightly they have bound us until we try to move and realize we cannot. Knots are not always visible to the eyes of others. You can dress them in fine clothes, hide them behind polite smiles, and cover them with laughter. But when the night comes and the world grows quiet, you feel their pull. They are there in the weight you carry in your shoulders, in the sigh you release without thinking, in the way you have learned to dream smaller so you will not be disappointed again. Some knots are born of our own choices, words we should not have spoken, steps we should not have taken. Others are tied by the hands of others, betrayals, losses, injustices we did not deserve. And then there are those knots formed by the cruel weaving of time, as if life itself decided to test the limits of our spirit. We often make the mistake of believing we can untie them all by ourselves. We try the tools of logic, the strength of willpower, the patience of time. We say to ourselves, if I just try harder, if I just wait longer, if I just push through. But knots, my child, are strange creatures. Some will loosen under gentle hands. Others will only tighten with every pull you make. And the more you try to control them, the more they fight to remain as they are, binding, limiting, choking the life out of your joy. But here is the truth you must hold close. Knots are not eternal. They are not fixed in the heavens. They are not part of your soul's permanent design. They are interruptions, not destinies. And while you may not have the skill to untie them, there is one who does. The God who formed you never intended for you to live bound. And in his wisdom he has given you a helper, a mother with hands that have worked miracles, a woman whose patience can outlast the most stubborn tangle, a heart so tender that she cannot bear to see her children bound. Our Lady, Undoer of Knots, is no stranger to the human heart. She knows what it is to feel the weight of confusion. She has stood at the edge of sorrow and looked into the unknown with only faith to guide her. And now, from her place in heaven, she reaches for the knots in your life with a determination that can only come from love. She does not rush. She does not yank at the threads. She studies them, understanding each twist and turn. She knows how they were formed, what pain holds them together, and what grace will loosen them. And with each gentle movement of her hands, what was once a prison begins to unravel. When you think about the knots you carry, you might see them as hopeless. But to her, they are challenges she delights in meeting. She knows that with every knot undone, your spirit rises higher, your joy grows stronger, and your trust in God deepens. She understands that knots are not merely problems to be solved, they are opportunities for grace to be revealed. Every loosened thread is a testimony, every untied rope a story of divine intervention. Yet, here is where the choice lies with you. She will not take the knots from hands that refuse to let go. If you are still pulling, still twisting, still convinced you can fix it on your own, she will wait. For she knows that surrender must be given freely. But when you finally release them, when you say, "Here, Mother, I cannot do this without you," something shifts. In that moment, the struggle changes hands. The weight that bent your back is lifted. The fight that drained your strength is no longer yours to wage. And while you may not see her working, you will feel the results. The tension will ease. The pressure will soften. The rope will loosen. Knots are stubborn, yes, but they are also fragile in the face of divine love. What years of effort cannot achieve, a single touch of heaven can accomplish. I have seen knots dissolve in moments that should have taken months. I have seen hardened hearts soften overnight. I have seen doors open without a single knot. And each time I knew it was because someone had dared to place their knots in the hands of the undoer. So I say to you now, do not fear the size of your knots. Do not be ashamed of how many there are. Do not believe the lie that you have lived too long with them for them to ever be undone. On the contrary, the longer the rope has been bound, the greater the testimony when it is finally free. And when you walk unbound, others will see the change in you. They will hear your story and find hope for their own tangled lives. There is a reason the enemy wants you to keep your knots hidden. He knows that as long as they remain in darkness, they will stay tight. But once you bring them into the light, once you place them in the hands of the mother who loves you, they lose their power. You may not understand how she works, but you do not need to. All you must do is trust that she does. Perhaps today, as you think of the knots in your own life, you feel the weight of them heavier than ever. That is not a sign of defeat, my child. It is the sign that you are ready, for those who are comfortable in their bonds will never be free. But those who ache for freedom, those who long for the smooth rope of peace in their hands, they are the ones who will see miracles. So take a moment now. Name your knots, one by one. Whisper them if you must. Weep over them if you need to, and then place them in her hands. Imagine her holding them, studying them, smiling softly because she knows exactly how to begin. And then imagine yourself stepping back, no longer straining, no longer fighting. Your part is done. Hers has just begun. And when she is finished, the rope of your life will not only be free, it will be strong enough to carry you forward into the life God intended for you all along. There comes a point in every soul's journey when you must decide whose hands will hold the tangled strings of your life. You can clutch them tightly, insisting that you alone can make sense of the mess, or you can place them in the care of someone who knows the threads far better than you ever could. When the heart is burdened, when the mind is tired, when the spirit is worn thin, that someone is Our Lady, undoer of knots. She does not come with judgment or reproach. She does not sigh at the sight of your knots or shake her head at how tightly you have bound yourself. No, she comes with quiet authority and holy tenderness, ready to do what only she can do. I think of her as a mother at her kitchen table, sunlight falling across her shoulders, her hands busy with some delicate work. In her lap are the tangled ropes of her children's lives, knots tied by fear, by betrayal, by loss. She leans forward, steady, focused, patient. She knows that each knot tells a story. She can read them like pages in a book. This one was tied when you lost that job. This one when you heard the doctor's diagnosis. This one when a friend became an enemy. And as she works, she does not rush, for love never hurries when it comes to the healing of the heart. You may wonder why she is called the undoer of knots. It is because her hands have been entrusted with a gift, a divine grace given by God Himself. When Gabriel first greeted her and heaven's plan was placed upon her life, she said yes, without hesitation. That yes was not just for the birth of the Savior, it was for you here and now. It was for every moment when the rope of your life would twist so tightly you could not breathe. It was for every hour you would feel trapped, bound, and forgotten. She carries that yes through eternity, and it reaches you the moment you call her name. There is a sacred humility in her work. She does not take your knots to boast of what she can do. She takes them because she is your mother, and a mother cannot stand to see her child trapped. She remembers the knots of her own earthly life. The confusion when she learned she would carry the Son of God, the fear as she fled to Egypt with Joseph, the heartbreak of watching her son suffer on the cross. She knows knots from the inside, and because she knows them, she knows how to free you from them. When you place your knots in her hands, you are not just handing over problems, you are making an act of trust. You are saying, I believe you love me enough to take the time. I believe your patience can outlast my pain. I believe that in your hands, even the messiest part of my life can become smooth again. This is no small thing. Trust is the key that unlocks her work. Without it, the knots remain clenched tight, not because she cannot undo them, but because you have not yet allowed her to. Perhaps you have been carrying knots for so long that you have grown used to their weight. They have become part of your identity. You have built your days around them, learned to live with less freedom, less joy, less light. But child, that is not the life God intended for you. The one who made you fashioned you for abundance, for peace, for love unbound. And He has given you a helper who will not rest until the ropes that hold you are nothing but loose strands in your hands. It is a strange thing, isn't it, that the God of all creation, the one who spoke the stars into being, would choose to work through a mother's hands to free you. And yet that is the way of heaven. It delights in humility and gentleness and the quiet power of love. Our Lady, undoer of knots, works in ways you cannot see. You may give her your knots today and find that tomorrow they feel no different. But wait, trust. She works thread by thread, loosening what has been tight for years, softening what has been hardened by time. And one morning, perhaps when you least expect it, you awake to find the rope smooth and free. I have seen what happens when someone truly surrenders their knots. I have seen debts paid in ways no one could explain. I have seen estranged families gather again around the same table. I have seen sickness turn to health, despair turn to joy. Not because the person worked harder, but because they dared to believe that the undoer of knots was at work for them. And when that miracle comes, and it will, you will not just be free, you will be stronger, for you will have walked the road of faith and learned the language of trust. If you could see her now, standing in the light of heaven, you would know there is no knot she cannot undo. Her hands are never tired, her heart never closed. She takes each knot you give her, and in her love carries it to her Son. For she knows that every rope, every thread, every strand of your life belongs to Him. She works not apart from God, but with Him, through Him, in Him. And as she unties, she prays. She speaks your name in the courts of heaven. She tells her Son, this one is mine. Help them, free them. And He always listens to His mother. Today, if you are holding a rope so tangled it feels impossible, I ask you to pause. Look at your hands. See how tightly you have been gripping it. Feel the ache in your fingers from holding on for so long. And then let go. Place it in her hands. Do it not with half a heart, but with the full weight of your trust. And when you do, resist the urge to take it back. Do not check her work. Do not try to help her along. She knows what she is doing. One day you will look back and realize that the knot that once defined you is gone. You will run your fingers along the rope of your life and find it smooth, whole, and ready for new use. You will realize that the undoer of knots not only freed you, she taught you something. She taught you that surrender is not weakness, that love is the greatest strength, and that God's miracles often come through the hands of those who simply say yes to Him. And so, my dear one, I tell you, entrust it all to her. Every knot, every tangle, every loop that has stolen your joy. Let her work in the quiet. Let her turn what binds you into a testimony of freedom. And when she is done, you will walk lighter, live freer, and love more deeply than you ever thought possible. For in her hands, every knot is already on its way to being undone. When you pray, my dear, you must do more than let words fall from your lips like dry leaves in the wind. Prayer is not simply a recital, it is an offering. It is the placing of your whole self, your fears, your hopes, your aching heart into the hands of the one who can hold them without trembling. And on this appointed day, when you lift your voice to Our Lady, undoer of knots, you must pray as one who believes she is already leaning close to hear you. You must pray with the deep knowing that her hands are not idle, that even as you speak, she is moving threads, loosening tangles, and carrying your needs to her Son. The prayer we speak today is not empty poetry. It is a declaration, a surrender, and a holy request all in one breath. Every word is a key, every phrase a step closer to the miracle you seek. This is why it matters how you speak it, not with the hollow tone of habit, but with the fullness of your spirit. If your voice trembles, let it tremble in truth. If your eyes well up, let them. If your knees grow weak beneath you, let them bend. For prayer is strongest when it comes from the deepest parts of us, the places where we have run out of answers and have nowhere left to turn but heaven. When you say, Blessed Mother, undoer of knots, I come before you on this appointed day, you are not merely announcing your presence. You are stepping into sacred ground. You are acknowledging that this moment has been set apart from all others. The world may see August 16th as an ordinary day, but you are telling heaven, I know this is a doorway. I know this is a chance for something to change. You are walking into the throne room of God's grace with a mother by your side, and you are placing your case in the hands of one who will not be turned away. When you name your knots, fear, doubt, worry, brokenness in your family, in your health, in your finances, you are shining light into the corners where shadows have tried to live. The enemy loves the darkness because in the darkness, knots grow tighter. But when you bring them into the light of prayer, they begin to loosen before you even finish speaking. And when you place them in her hands, you are saying, I will not let these define me. I will not carry them alone. I will not give them the power to keep me bound another day. Every time you say, undo the knot of my unbelief, Undo the knot of my lack. Undo the knot of my pain. You are opening a door. You are giving heaven permission to enter the locked rooms of your heart. You are saying, here is where I cannot reach. Here is where my hands have failed. Here is where my strength is gone. And that is when her hands begin to move. She unties the knot of unbelief so that you can see clearly again. She unties the knot of lack so that blessings can flow into your life without obstruction. She unties the knot of pain so that joy long forgotten can rise in you like the first light of morning. Prayer to Our Lady is never wasted. She does not let a single word slip away. She gathers them all, holding them as treasures, and presents them before her Son with the kind of urgency only a mother can have. And Jesus, oh, Jesus listens to his mother. He always has, and he always will. From the wedding at Cana to this very moment in your life, he hears her when she says they have no wine. He hears her when she says they have no peace. He hears her when she says they have no freedom. And each time he answers. You may not see the miracle the very second you say amen, but do not be deceived. Heaven does not delay without purpose. Some knots require patience. Some knots are tied not just in the rope of your life, but in the hearts of others connected to you. She works on every strand until the whole rope is free. But here is the beauty: the moment you pray, the process begins. Even before you open your eyes, something in the spiritual realm has shifted. Angels are moving. Doors are being unlocked. Threads are loosening. When you rise from prayer, do not return to the language of doubt. Do not pick the rope back up and start pulling at it again. Do not speak as though nothing has changed. Instead, walk as one who knows the work is underway. Speak as if the knot is already undone. Thank her as if the answer has already come. This is how faith turns prayer into reality. It acts on the promise before the promise is visible. Some will pray this prayer and then wait passively, hoping something will happen. But I tell you, the miracle comes to the one who prays and then walks forward as if the path has already been cleared. When the blind man called out to Jesus, he did not stay seated after Jesus spoke. He rose and walked toward the one who had the power to heal him. So too must you walk toward the life that is waiting on the other side of your knots. And when your miracle comes, when the rope is smooth in your hands, when the weight is gone from your chest, when the blessing you have waited for finally arrives, do not forget the one who helped you. Return to her in gratitude. Thank her not just for the miracle, but for the patience, the faith, the quiet strength she planted in you while she worked. For miracles are not only about what you receive, they are also about who you become in the waiting. If your heart feels heavy even now, if the rope you carry is more tangled than ever, take courage. You have prayed. She has heard. And she is working even now. There is no knot too tight, no tangle too complex for her. There is no prayer too small or too desperate for her to take to her Son. She has walked with the broken, the fearful, the hopeless, and she has never left a single one bound who was willing to be freed. So let this be the way you pray today, fully, boldly, without reservation. Place every knot in her hands, and then place yourself in God's hand. Believe that this day has been set apart for you. Believe that heaven is leaning close, and believe that before long you will see what happens when prayer meets the hands of the undoer of knots. There is a season in every life when the soul must learn to be still, even while the world around is in motion. There is a holy art in quietness, a discipline in waiting that only those who have walked through storms can truly understand. You see, beloved, the hand of God is not always revealed in the loud clap of thunder or in the blazing flash of lightning. Sometimes his hand moves in the whisper of the wind, in the stillness of the night, in the unshaken trust that sits deep within your chest. And it is in those moments that faith matures, hope strengthens, and the spirit becomes unbreakable. Waiting is not idleness. No, it is a powerful posture of trust. It is the knowing that God's timing is never late, never early, but always on time. Like a seed beneath the soil, unseen but alive, your prayers and desires are not forgotten. They are hidden only because they are growing. You cannot see the roots stretching, you cannot hear the tender stem breaking the darkness, but oh, one day you will witness the bloom. And when that day comes, you will understand why God asked you to wait. Too often we grow restless. We look around and see others receiving what we have prayed for, and our hearts sink with questions. Why not me? When will it be my turn? But child, the blessings of others are not the theft of yours. Just as the sun rises on different flowers at different times, so too does the Lord shine his favor in seasons appointed for each of his children. What belongs to you will never be delayed by envy or rushed by anxiety. It will come when heaven says now. In the stillness of waiting, God is doing his finest work. He is preparing not only the blessing, but the one who will receive it. What good is a gift if the hands are not ready to hold it? What good is a door if the one who walks through has not yet learned the steps to stay inside? Many have stumbled into blessings they were not prepared for, and those blessings became burdens. But when God asks you to wait, it is because he is strengthening your foundation so that what he gives will not be lost. Sometimes waiting is God's protection. You may think the road ahead is clear, but there are unseen dangers he is holding back until they pass. There are people who smile at you but mean you no good. God will delay your promotion, your connection, your opportunity, until those wrong hands are no longer near to grab it from you. Waiting, beloved, is sometimes the hand of the Almighty shielding you from what could have destroyed you. Do not despise the quiet season. It is in the quiet that the heart learns to hear the gentle voice of God without distraction. It is in the quiet that your spirit begins to recognize his leading and discern his will. The noisy world will tempt you to rush, to force open doors that are not yet unlocked. But a premature door is a dangerous thing. It may open to a room you are not ready to enter. Learn the wisdom of the caterpillar, who does not scratch impatiently at the cocoon, but waits until the wings are ready to carry it higher than it has ever been. And oh, when the waiting is over, when the trumpet of God's appointed time sounds, you will rise in a way that shocks even you. You will walk into blessings so tailored, so perfectly aligned with your needs, that you will know without a shadow of doubt, this could only have been God. And you will look back on the days of longing, the nights of prayer, the tears of impatience, and you will thank the Lord for every moment he said, "Not yet." For in the not yet he was making sure that when he said yes, nothing and no one could take it away. So if you find yourself in that season now, hold fast.